And now to Nigeria, where President Bola Tinubu has pledged to fast-track Nigeria's development through technology and food security, aligning with the success models of emerging economies like that of Brazil. Well, speaking when he met with a cross-section of Nigerians resident in Brazil, the president emphasized his administration's commitment to transformation through innovation, reform, and inclusive growth. The president described his visit to Brazil as a strategic move to deepen bilateral ties and draw inspiration from the impressive development trajectory of the South American country, noting that both nations once shared similar economic starting points. Well, and to examine Nigeria's bilateral relationship with Brazil, I have joining me from Brussels, Belgium, Collins Nweke, a global affairs analyst. Collins, glad to have you join me.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. How historic and significant is the president's visit to Brazil?
Well, it's a consequential visit. It wouldn't be the first time during this administration. He's been there before, and the Brazilian president has also visited him. I mean, the difference this time around is that it's a state visit. And being a state visit, all the paraphernalia of, government and diplomacy were rolled out for him. The red carpet was not forgotten. And so that makes it special. That also tells us that Brazil and Nigeria are taking each other very seriously. But of course, I mean, the outcome is the most important thing. I'm talking about outcome, Indy. There were majorly four, bilateral agreements or MOUs signed. One on BASA, the bilateral air service agreement. You also have the expanded trade commitments. But also the Petrobras, the national oil company that is now poised to return to Nigeria. And then, momentum for agriculture and technology cooperation, MOU was signed around that as well. But you see, Indy, this wouldn't be the first time that MOU are signed between Nigeria and Brazil. Over the past 20 years and counting, there have been hundreds of MOUs that eventually got committed in, some closet somewhere, were not implemented, were not followed through, and ultimately, they left Nigeria high and dry. So there are quite a lot of, missed opportunities that we should be more concerned about than just signing an MOU.
Yeah, let me come in there. You mentioned, I'll get back to the Petrobras, but you mentioned BASA, the Bilateral Air Services Agreement. Airpeace can now engage in direct flights. How will this impact the aviation industry?
It will impact the aviation industry very, very significantly. I was speaking with Chika Emmanuel Ori, recently, he happens to be the president of Nigerians in Diaspora Organization Brazil, and I was shocked to hear that, they spend close to 24 hours traveling between Nigeria and Brazil. I mean, imagine what that does to, a very busy businessman. Now, with this agreement signed and with Airpeace now poised to be the carrier in that route, that 24 hours will be cut down to 7 hours. Not very much different, from traveling between Lagos and Brussels, where I am right now. So that means that, businesses, especially we are talking about agriculture, perishable goods are part of it. So it will put down the transportation, the logistical cost, but also the convenience. Decision to go to Brazil or for Brazilian business people to come to Nigeria will be taken much faster as a consequence of this, bilateral agreement signed and airpiece, going to Brazil.
All right. I know you mentioned earlier, you talked about IOUs and the fact that Nigeria did not, well, take that opportunity, as it were. When will this arrangement, I mean, that's what we're talking about here, when will this arrangement commence? Was that worked out? Are you aware?
Sorry, it was breaking. I didn't get your full question, Andy.
The arrangement with Airpeace, the BASA arrangement with Airpeace, when will it commence? Was that worked out? Do you know?
Well, no, I am not aware of the nitty-gritty of Airpeace actually beginning to fly. But I must tell you something based on what I am aware of, that even before now, Airpeace had been making some, some plans to actually start off that route. So it wouldn't surprise me that the groundworks have already been laid, and now they will get down to, to business.
Okay.
Very
all right.
quickly.
Let's get to the Petrobras. The presidency says the president, Tinubu, has secured the return of Petrobras to Nigeria 5 years after Brazil's state-owned oil company halted its joint venture operations here in Nigeria. Should Nigeria be celebrating?
Nigeria should be celebrating as much as Brazil should be celebrating, because let's not forget one thing here, Indy. This is no philanthropy. This is business both for Nigeria and for Brazil, particularly in the deep water oil exploration investment area. Now, what it means is that Brazil, that is much more perhaps advanced technologically, but also in the area of human development in deep water oil exploration, will come in not just with investment capital, but also some technologies that Nigeria so desperately needs, and so the volume of output definitely will be impacted. And then we are not even talking about allied sectors to deep water oil exploration. So yes, there is something to smile home about if indeed, and that's a big if, this is followed through purposefully, that it doesn't end up like other MOUs and bilateral agreements that were signed in the past 20 years and lying fallow somewhere.
If, a big if. You had to say that for emphasis about 2 or 3 times. Well, that's interesting. Now, and in a broader perspective of diversifying and strengthening Nigeria's economy through global partnerships, how strategic is this visit to Brazil?
It is extremely strategic, and I must give this to Mr. President. Since assuming office as president, he has wasted no time in actually assuming that position of the chief marketing officer for the country. What that essentially means is that everywhere he goes, he actually represents Nigeria in terms of, activating trade deals. Now, it doesn't end there. When you sign an MOU, Indy, you do so within the context of expression of intentions. When you have expressed those intentions, Indy, it doesn't, immediately translate to creation of jobs, growing the economy is concerned, or feeding the hungry. You've got to then follow through with implementation, and that is where the issue had been. So yes, while he's going out there marketing Nigeria and setting the stage for bringing in investment is very, very critical, and he's doing his bit. Other things have to happen. I'll give one example and I will leave it at that in terms of what is not happening. As we speak, Indy, there are no Nigerian ambassadors in our missions everywhere in the world. Now tell me, Indy, who follows up these MOUs that are signed so that they translate from a piece of paper to actionable deals that actually impact economy of Nigeria and that of Brazil? That is the question.
Very key point you made there. And like you said, we'll leave it at that. Calling Nweke from Brussels, a global affairs analyst. Glad to have you to have joined us on The World. Thank you.